I am Probulos, and I'd like to briefly go over 20 of my books on Amazon Kindle, starting with my first, The 12 Unthinkable Horrors of Human Existence. From that book, I wrote Damnation by Probability, showing that there are over 75 billion in hell and counting. Another concept from my first book is the statistical theory of everything, which works on the idea of probabilities and explains why there is evil. Furthering the concept of probability, Probulism, a religion for the rest of us. My next book is The Illusion of Free Will, which is the 10th unthinkable horror, and I explain determinism. Following up on my concept of free will, what would have happened if Eve exerted her free will and did not eat the apple? We would have then had a world without sin, death, and evil, and I created that world in the other God's earth. This is the first chapter of many. I would love for you to read this book. I think it has a lot to offer, even if there are no bad guys. Speaking of bad guys, I wrote What If Lucifer Said No, and the Dark Lord simply decides he thinks heaven is swell and does not rebel. I like quotes, so I came up with 365 quotations from famous people throughout the ages, most not normally affiliated or thought of as being atheists and agnostics. And I had another book and even a book on humorous quotations. So there's 3 in all, and all of those are collected into the big book of quotations. I also assembled terms and concepts into a book on how to speak fluent atheists and agnostics. And I also had over 100 lists, again, on science and religion and basically what I call free thought. I had so many. I had a big book of lists where some of the lists were expanded. Most of my lists in the little book are only 10, and in the big book some are as many as 100. The Bible is good news for Christians, so I created good news for atheists, agnostics, and secular humanists. I like positive affirmations without the woo-woo. I use mind mapping to create most of my books, so I created a book of little charts and diagrams for those not familiar with this learning technique. I had some novellas I wrote, The Hole in the Sand in 2006, comparing different religions. The Balance of Nature was written in actually 1986 as a screenplay. I converted it to a novella. It's an interesting story about the power of nature. And When All Is Lost also was written as a screenplay, and it's simply an action story, kind of a psychological adventure story. So I assembled all my short novellas into one collection. I condensed Damnation by Probability into Damnation by Bake Sale, essentially the same book but much shorter. And in June 2016, I wrote Trumpism, a Religion for Sheeple. You can help support my work by purchasing my books on Amazon Kindle, reviewing them, and sharing them with your friends. Thank you.